All right, so we're going to continue with the meeting. This is Jay Swidler from Above Biometrics. He does have one piece of information for you. Jay, take it away.
I commit myself to never bore you with the information I'm going to bring you, so I don't want to be repetitive and tell you the same stuff every time. For those that don't know me, I'm the fingerprint guy, but I'm also the application FOID and CCL specialist, so when you have questions and problems, I'm the guy you want to have on your side. But we're not going to talk about any of those things here. It is significant, and it is the COVID declaration, or the gubernatorial declaration is over like tomorrow, I believe it is. And what that means for anybody who expired prior to this time, you are still in a situation where you will be able to be in renewal. All right, so let's say your CCL expired last week. You've not gotten to take your class yet. If you go ahead and apply in a month, you will still be in renewal status, which means you will become legal again the moment you get everything uploaded. Okay? If you expire on May 13th, this does not happen that way. On May 13th, you apply with your renewal certificate, but it is not considered a renewal in terms of the processing, so you will have to wait to be legal until after it goes active again. Does this make sense? So up until the point of like May 11th, you are considered in the renewal realm. No matter what happened, no matter if you expired 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever, you still haven't taken care of it, but you take care of it, whenever you take care of it, it is still considered a renewal, and it'll be active immediately. It will not be active immediately if it is after May 12th, and or starting May 12th, and you expire. So don't let it expire anymore. There was a lot of leeway given because of the declaration. Watch your dates, watch your CCL dates, know when your dates are, and make sure you take your class and upload your certificate prior to expiring so you stay in renewal status. All right? Anybody got any questions for me on that?
So I just got my combined void CCL card, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Sure.
Doesn't have an expiration date.
Correct.
So what do they do, notify you when it expires?
So the new cards do not have expiration dates. So you will get notified from the state 6 months prior with the letter. You will also get emails and text pounded to you until you go ahead and get that renewed. If you'd like to see your date, you just have to log into the portal and look at what the date is. Because a lot of you, I know, have probably purchased firearms and you got an email or text saying your void was extended. Yeah, that's why there's no expiration dates on the cards. So the void date is, will keep on extending if you keep buying firearms and you've got prints on file on the CCL.
So if you go to buy a firearm and they look at your card and there's no expiration date, how do they know?
They can no longer look at your card. They have to take the card, put the number in, and see if it's valid.
So the computer tells them.
The computer tells them it's valid. If it's valid, they can do whatever.
What's the best way for us to keep track of when it expires?
The best way for you to keep track, I mean, they're going to notify you. They are going to notify you. The mail has to come. So there's a piece of mail that will come 6 months out. They will be texting, they will be emailing. It's a very robust system. It was not that way before. For anyone that it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it is now robust. So again, the other way is just log in, look at your date, put it on your calendar. 6 months prior, put it on your calendar to take your class. That way you can't miss.
Is that both for FOID and CCL to notify you 6 months?
It is.
Okay.
It is, because you can renew 6 months out.
Okay.
So as soon as it changes in the systems, it'll automatically generate the letter.
They have a separate computer just for them to go on.
They extended your FOID every time you buy one?
I'm sorry.
When they extend your FOID when you buy it, is that going to keep happening?
So yes, it'll keep happening.
So can you write that down so my wife knows I can buy a new one every year?
That's the idea. That's the idea.
Awesome.
You can probably find it on the FAQ on the website.
It's easier than renewing.
What else? Anybody else? All right. Yeah.
What happens when they kick out the FOID card on their lawsuit right now?
Then we can celebrate that time.
Yeah,
We'll deal with what is at that time until then.
We're gonna have to get a separate CCL.
So I'm a deal in the now kind of guy, and I'm dealing with, and I'm here to tell you about what's going on now and how to navigate what goes on now. Anything after that, we'll worry about at that time, and I will have an answer when that time comes.
So never try and second guess anyone.
Explain them again about if they have the prints on file that the void card number is filed is expired.
So if the void prints, no one's going to have void prints.
I don't know if they can
Well,
sell.
No, because it's CCL that's causing it. It's the CCL that's causing it to extend. Yeah. All right. Again, my recommendation is don't do FOID fingerprints. There's no reason. If you're thinking about it, there's no reason. Don't do it. All it does is extend your FOID every time you purchase a firearm if you do not have a CCL. So if you have a CCL, don't even spend any time thinking about it. All right?
Thank you, Jay. It's my pleasure to introduce Nicole Sanders from the John Birch Society. Nicole, take it away.
My name is Nicole Sanders, and I am the Minnesota, Wisconsin, and half of Illinois field coordinator for the John Birch Society. I started advocating for constitutional principles in 2015 when I started a Young Americans for Liberty chapter on my college campus. So I could host a first meeting. I went on campus with a sign that said "Defend Gun Rights on Campus." A student was offended by my sign, approached the administration office, and they came up to me with 3 armed campus police officers telling me I was not allowed to talk to students without their permission, as long as I was outside of the free speech area. The interaction was recorded and put online, and it went viral within a few days. And I gave interviews on Fox News and Fox and Friends, The Blaze, InfoWars, NRA TV, all over the place. I worked with an organization called Firearm, and we placed a First Amendment lawsuit against Glenn College in Texas, and won a year later to align speech codes with the Constitution, and we got rid of the free speech area. So that was kind of my start in the I almost didn't go through with the lawsuit because at the time I was very, very shy, and I just didn't. I mean, who really wants to sue the school they're attending and and get that kind of attention? And I've always been a political news junkie, and none of my friends ever are. And I would always hear them say, "Yeah, we know, that's going on or this, but what can we do? We're just one person." Going on with this lawsuit was my way to show people and my friends that, you can do something to defend our Constitution. From there, I went to work for the Leadership Institute in California. And then I moved to DC to become the director of student programs for the Atlas Society. This is back when I was a libertarian and a little lost. I worked there for a couple years before moving on to Students for Liberty, where I was their first hire, the first fundraiser that they ever hired. I was there for 3 years, where I increased the budget from $3.4 million to $5.7 million. Before going to Mountain States Legal Foundation, where I raised the capital and first 5 years of funding to launch the Center to Keep and Bear Arms. It's the only in-house litigation firm in the country dedicated to the Second Amendment. And that brings me to the John Birch Society. I started at Mountain States Legal Foundation in March of 2020. Actually, my first day of work was the first day of the national shutdowns. And I had been working in the libertarian movement for about 5 years, and I was looking around and just seeing all of the libertarians who are supposed to be advocating for freedom and pushing against government tyranny were instead, mad at Trump because he didn't institute national lockdowns and wasn't putting on harsher restrictions. And so I started. At the time, the Great Reset, that term was all over the news, so I started looking into that, which led me to the World Economic Forum, to United Nations, their book Agenda 21, which led me to the John Birch Society, one of the only organizations out there actually talking about some of the root of the issues. We have been around since 1958. We were started by Robert Welch he was seeing the creeping communist tide sweeping through America, and knew that we had to do something. And one thing he really got right is left or right, we're really fighting communists. And that has been our goal since 1958. We published the New American. It is a constitutional, conservative publication. It comes out every other week. It's in the packets I gave everyone. Nothing we've ever published has been deemed fake news. It's something our members really rely on, and it's actually a perk of membership. The John Birch Society is a member-based organization with chapters all over the country. Part of my job as the coordinator is to work side by side with our members and our chapters to help them push back against unconstitutional policies in their community. And in your packet, there's this little green book. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, gun regulation isn't just coming from the left or Washington. It's actually an effort from the United Nations. In 1961, we passed the Arms Control and Disarmament Act, and since then we have slowly been pulling back our defense weapons. Actually, it's kind of funny, our military is owned by, is ran by NATO, which is controlled by a Security Council in the United Nations. And there's 5 member states that run this council, and funny fact, one of them is Russia. So Russia's on the board controlling NATO, but Russia's fighting NATO. These are things that John Birch Society has been researching and publishing for decades. And so yeah, this little book is their plan to disarm the world. And your executive director, I always forget his last name, John Bach, yeah, he told me, he is a Bircher, and he told me that I should recommend and suggest that all of you also join the John Birch Society. And do you have any questions?
I got a comment.
Yeah, that's Glenn. He is a lifetime Bircher in there.
The New American magazine, I subscribe to it, and I just thought everybody would be interested to know. They regularly have articles in there about gun control. They call it civilian disarmament, which I think is an accurate description, is what it's intended to be. And then every issue, I think it comes bi-weekly, every issue they have a page called Exercising the Right. And it's kind of like Gun News, where they describe different incidents where people use firearms to defend their lives and their families. So it's a great magazine.
Thank you, Nicole. Rachel LaRue. Rachel is from U.S. Law Shield, which is one of them fancy schmancy insurance, CCL insurance. She gets a lot more eloquent than I am. Rachel, the floor is yours.
Hi. Good evening to everyone. I hope you guys don't mind. Is it okay if I wear my sunglasses because the sun is like, woo, clear night. Well, I'm Rachel, and I travel all over Illinois for U.S. Law Shield. I actually do some of your classes, and I've been a member of U.S. Law Shield a year and a half ago is when I signed up, and I've been employed with them since October of last year. That's how much I love this company. How many are U.S. Law Shield members? That's awesome. Thank you. We appreciate you. So I'm going to go over a little some of our plan and our programs. How many can afford $10.95 a month for your freedom? Especially here in the state of Illinois. That's like 2 Big Macs or whatever. I don't know what the deals are. I don't eat out, but for $10.95 we'll get you an attorney. And so when you have to shoot someone or have to defend yourself, doesn't matter if it's a firearm, you don't have to have your concealed carry card or your FOI card. If you have to stab somebody, guess what? You're going to be covered for $10.95. So I will tell you that we cover civil, we cover criminal. We're the only company that covers you if you have to go to the appellate court. So if you get convicted here in the state of Illinois, we're going to take it to the appellate court with no additional costs out of your pocket. We also cover your children. So if your child has to use your firearm at home and have to protect themselves, we're going to cover your child. So I'm gonna go over some of these little programs. I highly encourage you guys to download the US Law Shield app in your app store. With that being said, I'm gonna go over some of the programs that we have. So we have two plans. We've got our monthly and we've got our yearly. $10.95 a month, or your $131.40 for the entire year. If you want to add a spouse or someone who's living in your household, has to be 18 years old, living in your household, you can add them. Unfortunately, due to inflation, my 27-year-old is back at home and he's on my plan. So isn't that exciting?
You're not old enough to have that.
Oh, I am, yes. I'll be 50 this year, don't tell me about it. I just told everybody. So with that, it's pretty exciting what we have to offer. We've got some really cool things that are coming up. I highly suggest you guys please download the US Law Shield app. So $10.95. If you add a spouse, it's $21.95. If you do the monthly, if you do the yearly, it's going to be $240 for your spouse. And I'm going to tell you, there's two really, really important add-ons that I highly recommend that you get if you do go with us as far as US Law Shield goes. Two things. Number one is your gun owner identity theft. That's one thing that I signed up for a year and a half ago. It was $83.60 for the year, or it's going to be $6.95 a month. Your gun owner identity theft. I own multiple firearms. Do you guys own multiple firearms?
No. I'm just here for the food.
I love you guys. So I opted to sign up for that. So if your firearm is stolen or lost, you have 7 different agencies you have to report it to. So one would be your local police department, and then you have a whole bunch of 3-letter agencies you have to contact to let them know your firearm is stolen. Your door will be knocked on and you will be hauled into the station, and you don't want to be answering questions without an attorney. So I opted to get the gun owner identity. The second really most important one is your bail bond expert witness. So your bail bond up to $50,000 to bail you out of jail. By the way, if you're going to add your spouse, make sure you add that for your spouse, because your wives will be highly upset that you're leaving them in jail. Okay? No, that is not an option, guys. You'll have a very angry wife after she gets out. So your bail bond expert witness is $35.40 for the year, or $2.95. Your expert witness is anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 out of pocket. That's somebody who's ex-military, ex-law enforcement, who's going to testify in court, or you.
That's very true. That dollar amount is accurate.
It's high. So if you are on trial, you want an expert witness. If the state's attorney decides to call an expert witness and you don't have one, you got a 50-50 chance. You want that expert witness. Not a bad price for $2.95 a month. So those were the two most important ones that I signed up for. I paid $270.15 for the year. It was beneficial for me. So all of our things are customizable. We also have 50 state. For $35.40 for the multi-state, covers you all 50 states. If you happen to go through Michigan and you have your firearm on your possession or in your vehicle and you get pulled over, you do not disclose to the police officer you have your firearm. He happens to find it, it's an automatic felony. God forbid you have to be sitting in Michigan in jail waiting to find an attorney, and then meanwhile your family is struggling financially. You are the breadwinner, you collect the paychecks, you pay the bills, you can't be affording to sit in jail. So that's where your multi-state comes in. Highly recommended if you travel a lot. If you only travel once a year and you go to Florida, just add it right before you go and then take it off when you come back. It will be prorated for you. The other thing, if you're a hunter, we also cover you on water and on land. I don't know what that was, but no, that's okay. We cover you on land and on water. So if you happen to be in a certain spot in Illinois and you get caught with your firearm or something, it can be a $10,000 fine. That's where we come into play. Or boating accident. So if you sign up yearly, you get an additional 2 months. So you get a total of 14 months. The other thing, if you sign up with me today, I'm going to give you your welcome packets. That's going to be your $60 gunshot wound class that you can take online at your leisure. This is special for you guys tonight. And then also I'm going to give you my $20 booklet that's going to tell you of all of the things that you could be charged with, misdemeanor and felonies, that you can be charged with in the state of Illinois. And it goes over a little bit of the gray areas in Illinois as well. I want to tell you a little bit about Michael Johnson, who's the main attorney in Illinois. He does do lots of seminars, so when you do sign up on your app, you'll have access to all of the events that we have available. They're free for members, and they're typically $5 for non-members, and you can ask the attorney any questions you want, okay? So this number is directly to Michael Johnson. This is not a call center or some kind of legal service. This is directly to his number. He is going to pick up, he's going to ask you what your emergency is. So that puts us a little bit different than some of the other places that have services like ours. Plus, we are the only ones who cover all weapons, not just firearms. So you could be in your car and be mobbed or carjacked if you have to use your car. That's where that comes into play. So, highly,
Can
highly...
I dovetail on that?
Yeah, you can
So if you
dovetail.
stab someone with a pen, that's not a weapon, what that can be covered.
Yes. So with your child, let's talk about the child coverage. $25 a year will cover your child, or $2 a month. Your child goes to school and has to punch somebody in the face because a bully is trying to attack them. Guess what? He's got to defend himself. We cover your child civilly and criminal for $25 a year. You can't beat that. Also, if your child is at home and how, right? So our company is awesome. Michael Johnson has 43 years of experience in self-defense. He's lived in Chicago his entire life. I keep asking him, why are you still there? And he loves it. I don't know why. But he's defended so many. In fact, he just started a new trial for a young man who's about 28 years old in Southern Illinois. He signed up for our services and 4 days later had to shoot someone. His trial started on May 1st. 4 days later, talking about getting more bang for his dollar. He got a lot for his dollar. So, when you download the US Law Shield app, it's going to ask you to put in your email address. Once you put in your email address, it's going to ask you for your personal information and your password. Once you get past that, you're going to be able to see the plan. You'll see a blue and white screen. You can pick either your monthly or your yearly, and then you can scroll down and add some of your add-ons. Okay. The other thing I want to tell you about on there is you have access to your travel guides on there as well. All of the maps that reciprocate, which is not really a lot of states, but you have access to that. And then also, I want to give you the code that's going to lock you into the rate that you're with us. Milnick.
My last name.
That would be his last name, Milnick. All one word, can be capital letters or lowercase. That's what you would use to lock in your rate. So right after you put your credit card information in, there's going to be a little promo code section. You're going to type that in and hit the little tiny button and hit the apply button. And also wanted to tell you, we cover red flag laws. So if your neighbor decides to say, hey, I don't like you, and guess what, I'm calling 911, and you're a threat to me, they're going to come take your firearms that day. We cover that. Yes.
Would you give that password again? I mean, only one gun, but...
Yeah, it's Melnick.
MELNICK.
Thank you.
So how do you cover if you're a red flag? How do you cover that?
You would call this emergency number.
Yeah.
You would tell Michael Johnson that, hey, somebody just came to my house and they took all my firearms. That's when he starts the process. I don't know exactly, I can't answer you legally what he would do, but I can tell you that he does cover red flag laws. Anytime you have a self-defense situation, you make sure you call. First, you're going to call 911, and then you're going to call your attorney. Then you're going to call your family and tell them they're not allowed to search your premises. Okay, nobody is allowed to search without your attorney. And we all know not to say anything without our attorney, right?
Yep.
Anybody have any questions? Gosh, you're a quiet bunch.
Thank you.